Every other video on the internet about seasoning cast iron is wrong. At least it didn't work for me the 3 times I tried it. And I've wanted to love cast iron for 10 years and I could never figure out the seasoning. But I'm going to show you how I finally figured out how to do it. I just cooked these potatoes on the grill using this cast iron pan. So this was cooking on the grill for about 45 minutes, this potatoes and onions. And it did not even remotely stick at all, despite being pretty well burnt in some spots. Wow, look at that. Nothing stuck. This isn't even stuck. That's just crumbs. I am just so excited to finally have unlocked cast iron. Now here's how I did it. First of all, I'm just going to run this under with hot water and get all the major chunks out. Look at that. There's hardly anything left on there just from rinsing it with water. Get yourself a metal scrubby and just scrape out the rest of those. Note the gloss and sheen. That's how you know it has a good seasoning to it. If it's dull in appearance, it's probably going to be sticky yet. Do not use soap unless it is the very first time you're using an old pan and you're just cleaning it up. Otherwise, you'll never need this again for a cast iron. Now after I scraped it out, the pan is still warm. It's maybe 120 degrees. It's hot if I hold my hand on it. But ideally, you'd like to put the oil on there while it's still warm. This here's just some peanut oil I keep here for this purpose. It's got a nice little drip spout on it. I just kind of run it around the top, a little bit in the middle, something about like that. I take this pastry brush. Probably could use a little more oil just to speed it up. And that's it. This will sit here just like this until I use it next, probably tomorrow sometime. Now the key is the oil needs to sit in here when you're not using it. You cannot just oil it right before you're about to use it. The oil needs to sit in here and absorb into all of the pores of the metal. So if you're seasoning it for the first time, rather than start up your oven and smoking up your house and sitting here for an hour, hour and a half, what you're gonna do is turn it on high and you're just gonna let this get hot. It doesn't need to be smoking. If it's smoking, you've gone too far. It doesn't need to be that hot. It just needs to get hot. So let it heat up for, a minute or 2 is all it takes. Okay, once it's hot, just shut it off. Put your oil in there, spread it around like I showed you before, and just leave it alone. That whole process, you'll want to do that three times, maybe 4 or 5 if need be. But that process will take you no more than 5 minutes, and that's better than letting it sit in here for an hour, smoking up your house and having to sit here and wait for it. It doesn't need to burn on, it just needs to get hot with oil in it. Let it cool with oil in it. Let it get hot with oil in it. Let it cool with oil in it. Do that a couple times and that'll help the oil work into all the pores. Time might also help, so just leaving oil sit in here for a few days before you go to use it might also help. You just have to kind of keep an eye on it. Once it has a nice glossy look like you saw before, then you know it's ready to go. So you can see now this looks kind of oily, like there's sitting oil in there, but I haven't used this one for like a week, and you can see how after a week it just soaked into the metal and it no longer, there's really no standing oil on there. These 2 pans I got from my family. It was sitting in their garage. This one I got from the thrift store, so none of these were new and they all needed to be re-seasoned, and this is how I season them easily. Now, as far as the bottom of the pan, I did season this side once, but I can see that there's starting to be just a little surface rust. So I'm just going to take the time now to just spread a little bit of oil on the bottom side too. But I don't do that hardly ever unless I noticed a little bit of rust on there. I don't think the oil type really matters. I think it's only really helpful if it's liquid at room temp. So take your pick. I don't have an opinion on that. Somebody might, but I'm just going to spread that around with this paper towel, and that should be good enough for the bottom.